Remember. But here's the Johnny Jump Up, the first Johnny Jump Up. Every one of you kids, I think, has had a Johnny Jump Up. First candy. She knew exactly what to do with a piece of candy. Oh boy. I bet she was sticky too. They're trying to take it away from her. She's not going to give it up. Walking through the porch. She can get around pretty well by this time, can't she? Little toy down there on the floor. Okay, here comes the car up the driveway to Kingsway. Is that Kingsway? Is that Kingsway or Millage Road? I don't know. Okay. And there's Great Grandpa. Ooh, right in the dirt. More Sunday school papers. Seems like I spent my childhood with Sunday school papers. Look at the Halloween costumes this time. That's the original Mickey Mouse kind of a face. That's not like the Mickey Mouses that you see now. And I was a gypsy. And there's the house from the street. That was our house. Is that our house? I think it was. But we had an ice storm, and these trees are all bent over with ice. It doesn't snow very often in Georgia, I'll tell you. And they closed all the schools. It only lasted about half a day. New Year's, 1933. It wasn't very cold. Look at that. See that? There's no snow now. And that was a wonderful coat and hat because it had fur around it. We thought it was terrific. And this was Christmas Day that year. And I got a tricycle that had a sidecar on it just so that I could ride Aunt Nancy, and then I got a doll that was bigger than she was. You can see how much bigger the doll is than she is. Uncle Renny kicks a football better than he hits a baseball, doesn't he? Under the Christmas tree. This is outside. That's the house across the street. Oh, and that's Cotta Hegler's house. He lived next door. Okay, Laura. And here we are. Uncle Floyd and Aunt Marie came and visited us in Georgia because he was at Fort Benning, I think, at that time. And Fort Benning is in Georgia. He was still in the military. What am I back in another costume again? It looks like a gypsy costume. That huge doll. Some of these pictures are funny because Grandpa always had us sit so we looked straight into the sun and we were supposed to smile and keep our eyes open. Here we go. Yeah, I've got a gypsy costume on again. I sure love to dress up. There's Grandma Longfield, great-grandma to Elsa and Danny and Jessie. And there's the whole family. There's Aunt Nette. Who is that? That looks like Aunt Myra and Uncle Aubrey. And there was great-grandma's dining room furniture that we loved, so it was in our house always. Round and round. And there's a fireplace in the living room. And the red-haired lady. I think a red-haired lady is at Aunt Nancy's house now. That was, oh, I know what that was called. Was that the crokinole? No, that wasn't the crokinole board. Aunt Nette gave us that game. Can't remember what the name of it was. Aunt Nancy did very well with a spoon. And this was the Easter egg hunt. We always had an Easter egg hunt in the backyard. We had a wonderful backyard. And the Easter Bunny would hide under all the plants. Look at the eggs everywhere you can see them. Grandma, what's Grandma doing? Oh, she's teasing the dog. Great-grandma did. Oh, this was my 6th birthday. I was 6 years old. And when you see this, Grandma said you would not believe, Great-grandma said, you would not believe how much ice cream it took to feed the nurses. Now, these were all my friends, and I cannot tell you who any of them were. But in a minute, you're going to see every one of them came with a nurse. And the nurses sat and ate ice cream. There I am. And all the little girls in their party dresses. And there's Aunt Nancy. Whoops, somebody's bouncing a ball on the table. Six years old. Oh, those are mothers. But you'll see the nurses in a minute. I think the blonde lady maybe was Mrs. Haler. I don't know. Here are the nurses. And Grandma said Great-grandma said an awful lot of ice cream went down their throats. Now here, I got a present. I think, is this the picture? Oh, my pajamas. Yes, new silk pajamas. I'll show you those. Okay, and now here's something you all have seen. I still have this. Remember Aunt Nette made us all scrapbooks? And this was mine. I got it for my 6th birthday. And Aunt Nancy was a banana freak in her day. And this shows you that even at this tender age, she handled them beautifully. Right? Poor little Amos back there. Want you to see how well we got along together. We loved each other. We never said anything unpleasant to each other. We just took care of each other all the time. Reel 6. These are scenes of Augusta. And I don't think they'll mean so much to the kids, but I think they'll mean a lot maybe to Uncle Renny, if he will remember them. Okay. And at the end of this reel, there are some wonderfully interesting things to see. This is the Partridge Inn in Augusta, and the Bonaire Vanderbilt. These were two luxury hotels. Great-grandpa was very proud of these. Kind of the landmarks in Augusta. And then you see out across the city. More hotel. Now, this was the first house we lived in. Back to Millage Road again. You remember we saw two houses, and this was down. This was just down on the corner from where the second house that we moved to. That was the front door. And this is the Presbyterian Church. We were Presbyterian in Georgia. As you know, we tried a variety of churches along the way. Now this says this is Cox's residence, but I'm not sure who the Coxes were down there. And this is Judge Barrett's. These must be large colonial homes. I don't remember any of these places. I wish I did, because they look like they're wonderful. I don't know who the dog is. The only little bull, toy bull I remembered was one that belonged to Mamie Martin. But Grandpa's note says that these are the Bothwells and their family. So maybe it was their dog too. Now, Grandpa worked in the textile mills, great-grandpa. And this is Sibley Manufacturing Company. And he did time and motion study for them. And this is one of the old mills. There's a date on it for you. Very Victorian looking, 1880. Now this is Mr. John Klink, who was great-grandpa's boss. He was the superintendent of the mills. Trains outside the mill. And this is the sluiceway. The mill must have been run by water. I don't know, but I would guess that it was, because Grandpa has this marked as a sluiceway, which would be where the water ran through the mill to generate power. And that would be the dam. In 1880, that would have been the only way to run that mill, and it must have been going still then. Now, I'm not sure. Grandpa's note says that we've gone up to the Highland Lake Inn, and this will be up in North Carolina. Had a good golf course, and this is where near where we had our cottage and went to it every summer to keep cool. Another one of Grandpa's notes talks about the Fleetwood Hotel, and that was near Ashevill. This is the lake where we went swimming. And there I am swimming. Only this time I'm smart enough to have an inner tube on. And I don't know who this lady is. Maybe it's my mother. I'll bet it's my mother. And we went horseback riding there too. Whoops. And that would be up towards the cottage where we were. Okay, this is the Fleetwood Hotel, and that was in the process of being built. That's up near Ashevill, North Carolina. And those are the mountains 2 years ago, I was back there visiting my friend George Bonesteel, and it looked just like that then. This is Chimney Rock, which is in the Smoky Mountains. If you look up, there's the chimney, and the big rock beside it. There's quite a drop from that rock, and I think the next picture shows you what it's like from the top. Let's see. See how far down it is. Looking straight up, okay. And there we are up at the top of Chimney Rock, and we're looking down at the water below us. And the highway. Sign says, "Throw no stones, people below." How much do you want to bet everybody that saw that sign threw a stone? See how far below that is? It says, "Stairway to the Opera Box and the Devil's Head and the top of the highest peak." It was quite a trip, and the only way to get up there was to climb it. Okay. And Grandpa took a picture of the Goodyear blimp, and it looks just like that now, except that in a minute you're going to see it come down. I bet you never were close enough to it before, even if you'd seen it up in the sky, but you're going to see this one come down. That's what the old airports looked like in the 1930s. Just houses. Here comes the blimp. And there it is down on the ground. That's what the Goodyear blimp looks like from the ground. And this is an Autogyro. It's the predecessor of a helicopter. And from what I understand, the only thing that makes that go around is the wind going through it. It's like a pinwheel, and it lifts it up. There's no motor that makes that go around. Funny looking thing, isn't it? It's an airplane with a rotor on the top of it. It was very exciting. In those days, if you heard an airplane, you ran out of the house and looked up. There weren't many of them. And this was very, very special. Okay, here it comes down on the ground, and it does come down pretty quick, quicker than an airplane would. See that? Just sets right down. Okay, now